you can write in the chat. Actually, we do not see you, but we can read. Okay. You want to say everything okay?
Dear Pakistan guys, can you hear us? Can you see us? Please. Send something in the chat. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now we'll start.
Okay, now we'll start. Actually, we have some technical problem with this click meeting program, and we will see you a presentation on full screen, and we will talk, but you do not see us like right now. So please turn on the presentation. Okay, so this is the presentation, and okay, maybe you can turn on your computer and have a look what's about chat and so on. Okay, let me start. So the topic of our webinar is ATM control, ATM Terminal. It's more than just a multi-vendor ATM software. So let me introduce myself. My name is Golan Dmitry. I am Chief Executive Officer of Yekasir company. It's my colleague, Executive Director Mark Orlov. He also responsible for working with partners. And Karmanov Ivan, he is a Chief Technical Officer. He can answer for any technical questions. So here we are. And one more purpose of this webinar, we would like just to check how we can do this event for English-speaking auditory. We provide such webinars for our clients quite often, maybe 1 or 2 times a week, or a month, not a week, it's too often. And we have very good response for such activity from our clients, from potential clients, new leads, and we think it would be good to show you how we do it. Maybe after that you can provide, or we can provide together such webinar for your clients. So let's start. Okay, so first of all, let me make a definition. What is it, Yekasir ATM Terminal? It's a software solution which provides full digitalization of the ATM channel. Not only ATM, but the other self-service devices of the bank. And this solution includes 2 parts, actually. The first part, it's a client side, it's ATM control software, which we installed on the self-service device. And the second part, it's a server components. These components is necessary to support the integration with bank back office system and to provide business functionality. So what's the most important advantages and key features what we for our opinion? First of all, it's a multi-vendor solution for ATM, self-service kiosk, automated dispense machines, and other kind of self-service devices. So now we support all major vendors like Winker, like NCR, Nautilus Housing, OKI, GRG. And so we can say it's a real multi-vendor solution. The second one is it's a unified software for every operating system. We support Windows XP, we support Windows 7, Windows 10, Linux in some cases, and we support several vendors and models. So, and we have unified software, unified version for any of these options. It's quite convenient for a bank. We remove all old protocols and technologies such as NDC from our solution. So we use only new technology and we do not use, for example, Internet Explorer or maybe some other technology, and this is I think this is a big advantage of this solution. Also, we can make the attractive user interface fast and responsive, and we can fit any screen size of the devices or any resolution of the screen, and we have SDK for UI, for user interface, self-designing. What else? Actually, ATM Terminal is omni-channel solution out of the box. What do I mean? Maybe you know what ATM Terminal is, just a part of our big products, digital banking platform. So, and these big products have a lot of channels. So it's not only ATM, it's also internet banking, mobile banking, teller desk, and so on. And all omni-channel cases will we support in this digital bank platform. So we can say for banks what omni-channel is out of the box. What else? Maximum business function for self-service out of the box. I talk about what we have, not only cash withdraw or depositing cash, also we have for example, payments for any services, transfers, personal area and personal services. We have fast cash, we have personal offers, and so on. And I think full set. And the last one, but I think it's significant, we have some server models in our solution for optimal managing ATM network. It's a monitoring server for device monitoring and managing. We have Cloud@Net. It's a server component to managing content on the devices. We have remote key loading, just developed. And we have cash management, so full set, what bank maybe need for optimal operating of the network. So the next slide. This slide about the bank ask us then our solution can be useful for them. And we try to answer. First of all, bank, in case then bank have new devices in their ATM network, maybe all new, maybe partly new, or bank would like to buy new ATMs. This is the common case. Then the bank would like to buy new ATMs. They would like to buy a new software. Second, if our solution can be useful, then bank have a very mixed ATM network. I mean, the bank have several vendors and several models and different operating system and maybe kiosks. So in this case, unified software for all network can be very useful. Also, if the bank would like to make some, I don't know, beautiful and attractive user interface, so we can do it, we can help. And if bank need to have a maximum business function on the device, for example, bank have a program with branch transformation program, and devices should have a lot of functionality. In this case, our solution also can be useful. So what else? I think small case multi-language interface. If the bank would like to have not only maybe 2 languages, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's very difficult to provide. Then you use NDC, but for us it's quite easy. And if bank would like to some model like monitoring and so on, we already have all these models in our solution. And one more small advantage is if bank use ATM controller, after implement our solution, bank can remove it, just save some money. So the next slide about our implementation experience. We just would like to say what we have a lot of experience, but it was an experience with self-service kiosks. About 10 years experience. We have more than 50 customers, not only in Russia, and about 20,000 installation on the devices. But it was a self-service kiosks and software. It was a monitoring server, operating server, and I think in 2017 we have a project with Tinkoff Bank. Actually, it's a very innovative Russian bank, and actually it's the biggest online bank in the world. It's really true. And in one moment, this bank would like to support their online business by its own ATM network. And they have a project. So now this bank have about 2,000 devices. It's mostly OK, Vinker, GG, and kiosks. And it's very different devices. For example, they have a GG with big screen, 32-inch. You can imagine how it's look like. It's very big, like a TV. So after that, we have a project with Gazprom Bank. Gazprom Bank is one of the biggest Russian banks. They have a network about 6,000 devices. It's actually a lot of different models of NCR, a lot of difference. And OK and Vinker and different operating system. So it's quite it was not easy for us, but now we close to finish this project, I think in the end of the winter. And also we have one more project with SKB Bank. It's our old client with kiosk, but now he start to run Nautilus housing ATM. So I think we can say what now we have out of the box product, because we successfully run the project with 3 banks. One bank is not enough, but 3, I think it's enough to say what we have out of the box product. So next slide. Here is architecture of our solution, and now I don't know, Ivan, please say something. Maybe I can give you, I can ask you to comment. Так. Иван. Иван.
Микрофон не выключен.
Okay, guys. Yes, this is you. I see your message. What you can't say something. Actually, it's a webinar platform, and then we say something. You can just chatting. If you would like to say something, you can write your questions, and we will answer. It's just a webinar options. So maybe the next time we can try, for example, make it in the Zoom, and in this case you can ask. You can ask.
Hello?
Ivan?
Can you hear me?
We don't hear you.
Okay. So,
Okay.
on this slide, we can see
Ivan. Oh, okay.
Super. On this slide, we can see architecture of our solution. On the left side, we can see ATM Terminal. This is front application, and the right side, it is middleware, our middleware solution, our host solution that integrates with bank systems. That is back systems. So let's start from front part of our solution. Our front application, ATM Terminal, contains several components. Card client, this is application that works with cards, contains EMV kernel, and provides all card transactions. Next component is UKCR Terminal Core. That application provides user interface, user scenarios through JavaScript API and UI, HTML, CSS, HTML5, CSS to user interface. User interface runs on Chromium browser. We use Chromium embedded framework to. This is not Chrome or not Microsoft browser. This is Chromium embedded framework, and we have made our own browser on top of it. So EMV core, so ATM Terminal core application integrated with card client component and use hardware through XFS software of vendor, or so we can run we can work with hardware using our direct drivers. If vendor provides specifications how to work with hardware directly. For example, contactless card readers almost everywhere works directly, we don't use XFS here. Advert agent in ATM Terminal is an application that provides integration with cloud.net and provides functionality of content managing on advertising places in user interface. Middleware contains several server services or components. The first of all, identity gateway. Identity gateway provides single access point for all applications on server side, excluding monitoring server. So monitoring server works with ATM using pure TCP connection or TLS over TCP, and have own entry point for ATM terminal software. Identity gateway works using HTTPS and provides routing for all services and provides security channel with ATM using message authentication codes. So every message that ATM terminal sends through identity gateway have a message authentication code, and every response to ATM terminal too. So this is this message authentication code use PIN pad for security. So and on the terminal side, and use HSAM on host side. So this is secure channel to communicate with any service on the back of identity gateway. Which services? The first, card gateway. This service provides integration with card switch using, for example, ISO 8583. Crypto service. This service provides integration with HSAM. We support Thales PayShield 9000 or 10,000. Operation server provides managing of all transactions, or for example, manage fees for clients or fees for bank with partners and other payments, withdraw operations, cash deposit operations, and other. This component provides transaction processing tool. So if transaction is card-based, then operation server works with card gateway, and if transaction is cardless, it works itself. For example, with banking core system or another system, for example, with system of bank partner. personal area services it is not one service, it is a set of services that provides different information for client. For example, banking contracts of client, personal templates of payments or another operations, history of operations, and other. Here on the middleware, we can make additional services for client, and these new services can be integrated with system using configuration of identity gateway. So in this case, we can provide communication between user interface on HTML5 on ATM site to service directly through terminal core, identity gateway, and new service on host side. So if you want to extend functionality, you don't need to modify existing software. You can add new services on host side and modify user interface on ATM. So monitoring server provides control of ATM, provides update of software or on ATM, and monitoring of current state of network of ATMs. On high level, I think that's all, and we can discuss functions of each component later.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. Now we go to the next slide. Okay, and now we talk about the ATM control software client side. Actually, firstly, I would like to say what equipment we can support. Mark, can I ask you to talk about it?
So we support two major families of the equipment. First of all, which has the direct drivers. It's for ATM, it's old-fashioned, old history where ATM was produced by the vendors. Operating system was produced or developed by the vendors. At that time, 20 years ago, the most popular one was IBM OS2, and there are only direct drivers to the devices, to the internal devices of the ATM, which have been supported by the vendors only. It was the vendor-centric technology, and at that time, all the ATMs were quite vendor-specific, and there was no multi-vendor applications. Now ATMs become multi-vendor thanks to XFS layer, and this is the family of now the time and the family of XFS. However, there are some devices which requires direct drivers, or some customers which require the direct drivers. First of all, what I remember from the past, that direct application gives enormous speed of the application to the customers, to the ATM clients. And now XFS, it's quite a slow middleware application, and sometimes the banks require that provide the very speedy and very quick support and service on the ATM for the customers. In this case, we use direct drivers if these direct drivers can be provided by the vendor. The second area in this family, this is the kiosks. Mostly all the kiosks can be supported with the direct drivers only. Mostly kiosk vendors do not develop XFS to support. Sometimes software companies develop their own XFS application for specific kiosk vendors. But sometimes, I think that you understand how complicated and how expensive is this approach. So now we live in the era of XFS, and with the XFS developed by the vendor, we can have the application above XFS, which can be multi-vendor application. And in this case, we tested the equipment, and this equipment is going live, went live, and this equipment went live. And these vendors which we tested, this is GRG with the family you can see on the screen. Brinker Nixdorf, now it's Diebold Nixdorf, and the family which we love is the Cineo, the ATMs which wide range of devices, and mostly the most popular now is the recycling units. So the third one is Oki. It is Japan company, but however, as any Japan company, it produces ATM for the local market and for external market. We do not touch local market ATMs, which are only for the Japan. They are very, very specific, very specific. So we use and we worked with the ATMs, OK ATMs, which are for the external market. This mostly the standard devices, and mostly these devices are quite useful for recycling operations. And we use FG7 and FG8. And the latest project, as Dmitry said, in Gazprombank, moved us to the NCR vendor, to the range of self-service devices, which we hopefully worked very well with them. And now there is the customer which is going to use Hoesong Nautilus, and we know that this Korean vendor becomes very popular in the countries and all over the world. And we work with the Hoesong devices and Hoesong XFS. The kiosk range is quite wide, and I will not say many words about them. They're quite very specific to the customer and specific to the vendor. So the software can support the different additional equipment. Mostly the most popular, most useful is the video surveillance systems, which is quite complicated and which consists of the cameras, consists of storage devices, and must have some additional managing facilities like the turn off, turn on the cameras and the surveillance system, So to make the good shot, the good picture of the client, and to make a titration on the screens, I mean on the shots. So then the quite efficient system is anti-skimming monitoring. Anti-skimming, it means anti-skimming with the specific anti-skimming devices and specific anti-skimming sensors. So if the integration, if we do the integration with these systems, then we can monitor status of the devices and can send alerts if these sensors send notification or send the query regarding the skimming, potential skimming. UPS, also we can monitor uninterruptible power supplies on the devices. So the monitoring means that if we check the external power is off, then we send a command to shut down the device warmly. So it means that the client which is currently use the device can continue and finish its operation, and then UPS will shut down the device. The contactless readers, the very popular family is VOPay kiosk. All the contactless readers, as has been sent before, are contacted with the are integrated to the system by direct drivers, because in the standard XFS application, the response time from the contactless reader is insufficient to pass the EMV certification. So to extend the use of contactless readers, the vendors provide the direct drivers. Also, we can support the special electronics like additional sensors which can be added to the ATM to control the temperature, to control the angle of the device, to open the door sensors, to acceleration. So everything that can be added to the ATM, it can be vendor specific electronic, or it can be third-party electronics. So we can manage the backlighting, and the integration with the router can be provided if we use the if we connect ATM not by the leased line but by wireless communication network.
Okay.
Next.
Thank you, Mark. It was very interesting and detailed. So the next slide. I can try to speak a little bit faster because we have a lot of slides ahead. So couple words about Card Client. It's a component of our ATM control software, and I just would like to say what this component is intended for working with cards data and separated from the software core. And this component is include built-in EMV kernel. We run recertification several months ago, so now you can see our company in the on the ENV side. You can check if you want. Okay, and this component interacts with card gateway by his own JSON protocol, and with operation server by the ECASIR v3 protocol. So I think just that's all for, it's enough for this presentation. If it's necessary, we can give you more detailed information. Okay, what else? Now let's tell about user interface. First of all, technologies. Our user interface for self-service devices is a single-page web application for built-in Chromium. It's, as Ivan already said, it's our own Chromium. And we have two options. One option for ATM, old ATM with XP, Windows XP, and the second one, new one for Windows 7 and Windows 10, two versions of Chromium. And we use to develop HTML5 technology. We use React, JavaScript, TypeScript, so it's quite a new technology, and this easy for development. How we do customization? We have our out-of-the-box user interface, which comes with our software. And the customization can be performed with just change CSS styles. It's quite easy. So in the next slide, I can show you how it's look like. The original slide of our user interface and the slide adapted for the brand book of the bank. So by CSS styles, we can change colors, we can change, for example, logos, we can change fonts, but we can't change UX. Okay, if bank need special additional scenarios or maybe custom behavior, we can implement it, some customized HTML pages add to our web application. And because we have API, bank can produce its own unique user interface. It can be done on the base of our out-of-the-box user interface. We can sell the bank source code of them because it's a really big project. It's I think all bank can do its own unique user interface from zero level, but they think it's a big, a lot of work. So it may take, I don't know, one year, for example, for development. It's not easy. And we have developing tools. First of all, we have SDK for user interface. And in this SDK, user interface can be debugged in the Chrome web browser. And we have device simulators for developing with we do not need to use real hardware. We just use emulator, and this is more convenient. Okay, I think it's enough for this approach. So, and the next slide. Okay, here we just show what methods can be used with our API. So I think it's quite wide range of methods. So you can see on the screen. I think it's not necessary to read it. And just I would like to say what you can do from interface, all what you need. If it's necessary, sometimes we can just add some method to an API and do something new. I think it's enough for understanding. And the next slide, it's a couple words about our out-of-the-box user interface. First of all, as I say, this out-of-the-box user interface comes with our software. And they have user interface support for, actually we have user interface not only for touchscreen, as well we have it for FDK. So it's like a two different user interface. We support on all necessary functionality: depositing, withdrawal, personal area, payments and transfers, choosing denomination, for example, working with NFC readers and so on. And I hope then we tune the demo stand, you can see that on the devices in your office, how it looks like. Also, we have a slots for in our user interface. We have a special slots for advertisement and personal offers. I will show you how it looks like in the next slide. Also, it's just for fun of it, we have animated screens for waiting the ATM reply, banknote choosing, dispensing, and so on. And it's just small JavaScript, but it's look like fancy. Our out-of-the-box user interface is designed to fit any screen resolution. It's like, you know, it can be used for example, for different size screens with no changes. And in the end of it, they have a UX project in the program. It's the name is Actually. It's for develop the UX, and it makes easier just to, I would say, to settle the required UI customization with the bank. You can show them how it looks like with clickable prototype. And UI layouts we have in the program named Figma. It's quite modern. So I think that's all what we can say about our out-of-the-box user interface. That's the next slide. Okay, so it's just an example of our out-of-the-box user interface. This is the screen. This is the main screen of personal area. So then the client go to ATM, insert the card, enter the PIN code. He will see this screen. On the left side, you see the bank's product of a client. So, for example, you can click and show balance or hide balance. Arrow right, arrow left. The client can change the products. For example, show not only present card, but its account, deposit, or other product. And the buttons, client can make withdraw cash, replenish, pay for something, or transfer money. And it's possible for not only for present card, but for any client accounts if it's possible. And in the right side, we have an area for advertisement or maybe for personal offer. So next slide. It's an example of the screen for depositing money. So this is deposit 5,000. It's actually Russian rubles. It's about, I don't know, $60. And information about fees, information about maybe details. Also, we see what bills can be accepted. It's with small pictures. It's I think it's I like it actually. And in the left side, we see selector print or do not print receipt, and two buttons. So it's deposit fund and finish, or deposit funds and continue the next operation. It's just an example of the screen. And now you can see how it's look like adapted this our out of the box user interface for the bank brand book. It's a real client, SKB Bank. So in the left, you see the screen. It's a main screen of a personal area. Actually, absolutely the same like in the previous slide, but in the color of the bank. I think it's look like good. And the other screens in the right side, in the bottom, you see the main screen of the ATM. It's a big area for advertisement, and buttons for main operation. And in the bottom of the screen, you see some prompt, just insert card or tap card. So I think it's looking good. Okay, and in the next slide, we can show how it looks like custom user interface. It's an interface of Tinkoff Bank. They developed their interface using own developers. We just support API. We do not develop user interface at all. It's their own. It's you see, it's look like quite different from our out-of-the-box user interface. And the next slide, it's also Tinkoff. So a screen with, like on the left side, it's like a personal area. You see the timeline. You see the main buttons. It's very big. And in the right side, you see the screen with to deposit insert nodes. Okay, so what else? Now a couple slides about service mode and the replenishment mode. Mark, can you tell us?
Thank you. Service mode is standard as all the vendors, as all the applications. So in the service mode, we can load, remove keys, can check and test devices, internal devices of the ATM, and can run the specific vendor utilities. However, the replenishment mode is a little bit wider. Then we have in the replenishment mode, we have the quite specific function that at the right hand side helps the cash management company to insert cassettes on to help them to understand how to do the replenishment. And at left hand side, there is the specific information that the inserted cassettes not totally coincides with the information which is kept on the host, how the cassettes will look like. And on the left-hand side screen, you can see that one of the cassette is in the red color. It means that this is the wrong cassette in the wrong slot, and it should be removed and exchanged with the appropriate one, which is correct one. So one additional function is that we can do the replenishment if there is no connection to the host. So we can do the replenishment, and after the connection is stable, is online, then the information regarding the cassettes and the replenishment, the data of the cassettes will be sent to the host.
You are finished?
Yes.
Oh, I just add maybe a couple words about it. So I think it's very useful then then you make replenishment, have a whole scenario how to do it, not just option, make this or make this. So maybe, and as I said, what more, they can do replenishment without connection with the host if it's necessary. Sometimes it's necessary. I think it's enough for this. Okay, and now we can go to the server side, server components. Ivan already told us about some. No.
Не будет.
Ivan already told us about some details, but I think talk about a little bit about functionality of the server components. So on the right side, you see monitoring server, one component, personal area services for personal services of a client, operation server, it's like a transaction core, and some service components like identity gateway, card gateway, crypto service, so and cloud.net for managing content management on the devices. So first of all, let's talk about monitoring server. Monitoring server is necessary for monitoring of devices and for managing the devices. We use programming platform like MS Windows Server, development tool C#. They use database is MS SQL 2012 or higher, and data exchange protocol, it's our own TCP protocol. It's optimized for traffic, and the connection can be established only from device side. What else? This solution can work in cluster and scaling very good. Actually, we have systems with, I don't know, 5,000-6,000 devices, and we usually use only 2 nodes of server components. So, and this component have its own interface. It's monitoring studio for monitoring and managing. And now the next slide, it's about functionality. This slide is about monitoring functionality. Mark, tell you.
Here is the list of the monitoring functions. Here are mostly, this is the standard functions for monitoring and management solutions. So the general information of the self-service device, the status of the internal elements of the device, the information about the captured cards, the last transactions. However, there are some additional functions which are supported only in EKSER software application. There is the information about the build which was installed, software build, which was installed on the ATM, and the integrity control of the software which was installed on the ATM. It means that we can control that nothing can be added without our allowance to the ATM software. Then the additional functionality is to have the complete history of the updates on the software and on the device's state. So the logging of the idle time reasons due to the software errors. This is absolutely new functionality for the monitoring and management devices. The next area is the ability to work with the different roles of the users on the ATM. Not on the users, but the service teams on the ATM. So we can set up the specific roles and specific modes for the service company and the service teams, which can have the different access to the internal software and the internal devices on the ATM. For instance, only specific groups can access to the service mode, or specific groups can access to the replenishment mode. Also, we are logging the activities of the device and of the users and all the actions of the users on the monitoring tool, and can check later what was done on the software level of the monitoring and on the user mode of the device. So we can provide the audit control and provide the total audit of the actions which have been done on the monitoring tool and on the device itself. Next.
Okay, this next slide is about managing function. Maybe Mark will tell us.
Quite useful managing functions. First of all, what we have with the ATM, which is installed remotely somewhere thousands of kilometers away from the central point of the bank. This is the problem of the uploading, downloading software, uploading, downloading files and electronic journals. So we can do this with all the files for the ATM. Then we can do update at the background when the ATM is in idle time. Then as a managing solution, we can run the jobs remote, send the remote commands on the ATM to run the specific jobs, run what files, or block the device, or update configuration files. So also we send the commands like to close the device or to reset the device. Quite useful information function to get the inventory of the device, to collect the data of the internal devices of the unit, of the firmware versions, and of all the versions of the drivers which was installed on the device. Then manage the currencies and denominations. If we see the counterfeits on the field, then we can stop the depositing of the specific currency or specific denomination until the currency file will be updated. So as the currency file will be updated, if the currency file be updated, then we can download or we can upload to the device remotely with the function 1 and to download into the cache accepting device. Then if we do it, then we can again enable to depositing currencies and denominations. Then the next functions, which however it's only for smart cassettes, which are on the Winker devices. It's managing the cassettes to block and block them. With the dumb cassettes on the NCR, I'm not sure it's possible, but however, with the smart cassettes, it can be done. We can collect the event logs on the device, and if we collect the log, then we can download to the central point and to analyze it. Or we can parse remotely the event log, parse remotely electronic journal, and the results of this parsing can be withdrawn to the central point to analyze. Also, we can assign the tasks for the group of the devices, means some specific group, just the devices, with just the depositing devices, we can set up the time where the new currency template will be uploaded to the device, and to check the results of these tasks. Or we can select the group of the device and to send the advertising file to this group of device, and then to delete this advertising advertising file if the time has gone. And also, as I said, it's possible to manage the roles of the group of the device, which the group of users with the specific roles assigning.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So I think we can discuss this functionality later, maybe, because it's not the end list. It's just part of it, and we have, as Mark already said, some special interesting function. Let's talk about operation server. Actually, it's a transaction core and main server component. So it's this component have a lot of functionality, a lot of it, and this component provide processing and guarantee delivery for all transactions type. So couple words about technologies. So we use database MS SQL 2008, R2 or higher, C# framework 4.6, and Windows Server 2012 and higher. We have data exchange protocol. It's eCassir v3. It's we use this protocol when we need to integrate our server with some other other system. So we have specification, and we can show this specification. And this server can work in cluster and have very good scaling, horizontal and vertical. So and we have some high load testing, and in this high load testing we have 250 TPS, 250 transactions per second on 4 or 5 nodes. So I think it's enough for any project. For any project, any size, project of any size. Okay, so a couple words about additional components, because it's an operation server. It's not only a server. It has a lot of additional components, and I can show it on the architecture screen. You see the main server core and a lot of additional components. First of all, is database, SQL Server, and we have Operation Studio. It's user interface for administration and for operation guys. So a lot of functionality. Maybe some. Then Alexei was in Pakistan. He can show this user interface, how it's look like. So, and Access Manager, it's a component for authentication. Bank Core Integration Toolkits, it's component for integration with core banking system, and so on and so on. So I think we can discuss it later with on the technical layer. So let's go to the next slide with main function. So the main function of operation server is specifying logic and scenarios for all type of transactions on self-service devices, and configuring services and service directories. Also managing cash withdrawal with some logic, and we can choosing desired denomination for dispensing. Actually, it's just out of the box feature. Also, cash withdrawal by QR code, using QR code. We can configure service availability depending on different parameters. For example, for payment tools, for geolocation and other parameters. Also, operation server has a commission service for any type of operation. Operation server has a service for limits. Yes, I know, but Ivan already gone. Maybe he answer later. And what else? Transaction routing, payment and transfer templates, localization support, fast cash. It's just one more service. Non-financial transactions, currency exchange. So a lot of functionality. And okay, as Mark said, what you already know about it. So I'll go to the next slides, to the next server components. This is more about operation server, and this slide about personal area services. It's DBP server, server of digital bank platform. Actually, we have some out-of-box personal services, and the service set is defined for the project scope. Then we implement the system. We can develop some custom microservice for special project needs. just couple words. Then client go to the ATM and inserting the card and entering PIN code. He go to this system, but firstly he go to the access manager. Go to access manager and pass the authentication, and then access manager give the access token, and with this access token this client go to this personal service and get access. We provide smart caching for customers' data because sometimes it's difficult to get information from bank back office system in online mode, because sometimes, for example, our core banking system can answer for a long time and the client will not wait. So we can put all this data in our cache in this server DBP and use it. What else? Next slide. So this is the main personal area services out of the box. The first one is service of authorization and authentication. The main scenario, this insert card and enter the PIN code and go to the personal area, but it can be different. For example, customer can enter phone number and password, or one-time password, get one-time password. This is another scenario, go to the personal area, or just, for example, use a QR code, so it can be different. One more service, personal service, it's bank products service. It can be accounts, cards, loans, deposits, other bank products, and the client has information about it and have ability to manage. For example, you can see on the screen the product, client product, and this is information about product. But if, for example, customer would like to change something, it would be managed product. So it's a bank products personal service. Also, we have a timeline service in the second screen. You can see on the right side the timeline of the operation of the client, and if tap on the operation, you can see the details. Also, replenishing and withdrawal from customer products. It's a part of bank products service, but you can not only withdraw from your present card, but you can withdraw from, for example, other product if it's possible for such type of product. Also, what kind of products do you have? It's templates for payments, for example. If you make payments for some services, you can just make a template and then make this the same payments easier. Also, it's personal offers and some maybe requests. So I think this list can be add some special service in project, so it can be we can make a microservice for customers and add it. So and couple about these slides on the top. This is the main information about product, and in the bottom we see the information about the product, just tap on the product on the top and go bottom. Okay, Mark, say what we. Yes, the time is finished, so just say a couple words about Cloud.net. It's a server component for managing content and displaying personal offers. What content can we show? In the right side of this screen, you can see special area to show the advertisement content, and this content it can be banners, just images, one or several ones, and these images can be rotated with small time. It can be scenarios, so you can click on the banner and go to a scenario, several images or web pages. It can be a scenario with some data collection. So for example, you can put your phone number or other information. And in this area, they can show the personal offer. And they can print some advertisement on the receipt. Next slide, we just would like to say here what we can start our advertisement company very fast. Maybe it takes 10 or 15 minutes to show the advertisement on the ATM, and we can show how to do it in the real presentation if it's necessary. Sometimes it's very interesting for client. And couple words about personal offers. You can see on the right side of this screen, it's personal offers. You see the layout, it's a picture, and you see some metadata. It's like a hello metadata, this is a name, and information about the personal offer. This is the amount, this is the interest rate, and this is I think 60 months. And you see two buttons. It's first button, it's interesting. Okay, go to the scenario and, for example, enter your phone number, and do not interested, do not show it again. They can they can memorize this information, and next time show another personal offer. So, and just the last slide, we would like to say what our ATM Terminal is just a part of the big digital bank platform. It's just one of the channels. So big channel, but one of the many. And for banks, sometimes it's interesting because they have different channels and they would like to make omni-channel communication. So here they are. Okay.
Questions?
The last slide.
Questions?
Yes.
Amar, your question. What HTML framework does your application support? So the HTML5 and the kernel was written on React. Regarding the touch screen and swipes, yes, swipes can be supported. However, there are the problems. It's not easy. There are the problems with multi-touch screens. We faced these problems with one customer, and then the customer decided to get away from swipe and to move back to scrolling. Okay. Then regarding the NDC, yes, we do not support NDC. And regarding the questions of the security, there is a very, very wide topic with a specific for the specific webinar, but I will answer briefly. The pin block is generated in pin path. At the exit of the pin path, these are the encrypted data. All the critical data on the card critical data are being encrypted on the pin path. Plus, all traffic between ATM and the server is marking. So the mark is used to support the integrity of the traffic between ATM and the host with the server. And the pin path keys are used for this service. Regarding the remote key loading, the remote key loading is not supported in the moment. However, we are working on it, and it will be supported in
I think in the end of the winter we finish the project with Gazprom Bank, and we will have it
at the end of the winter.
Yes.
The end of the winter is 28th of February.
And one more question. What is the benefit of making card client separate from the terminal core? Actually, it was the architecture is easy to pass PADSS certification for us, and we separate the component which working with card data from the other part of the solution. So it doesn't matter for client, but it's easy for us to pass all certification. What else? I think let's. I think it's better to organize maybe one more communications to answer all these questions, because I can't answer for all of this. Ivan should go to the next meeting and he can answer, but maybe later. I think it would be good organize one new conf call on the next week, and we will answer for all technical questions on this conf call. So now we just try to make an English-speaking webinar. It's not easy for us. It's a first attempt. Yes, please write down all the questions, and we prepare to answer it. Tabish, thank you very much. I try to do my best.
Yes, in one email, and we reply on it. Yes, please. All the questions in one email, combine them in one email, and we reply to you in this email.
Yes, and I think it's better to talk about it after it's make a conf call, because it's live communication is better. Yes, we can send you original presentation in PowerPoint, and you can make it adapted it to your customer.
You can share this presentation with your customers also.
Oh, I think it's need to be a little bit adapted, but okay, you can do it, of course. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Yes, of course. But we still just start to work on it. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. One more. Okay, we are finished. Bye.
Thank you, Tavish. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Transfer.